Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Adam von Gootkin. Adam, excited to have you on the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, super excited to have you on and talk about all the awesome things that you're doing, and so the audience can learn a little bit more about you. And of course, before we do that, I want to read a little bit more about Adam so you can hear about some of those awesome things. And a lifelong entrepreneur, Adam von Gootkin, pedigree is in the spirits industry dates back to his family's distillery in the 1800s, while his lineage as a risk taker can be traced directly to his great grandfather's Prohibition era speakeasy and shipping operations on the Connecticut River. Adam is a global innovator in the spirits industry, bringing his family's legacy into the next generation by co-founding Onyx Spirits Co, an award-winning craft distillery offering America's first ultra-premium moonshine and New England's first whiskey. In 2015, his nationally released book, Living Proof: Onyx's Moonshine Journey to Revive the American Spirit, chronicled his unique approach to the traditional business principles. Adam's next venture could take him from the New England coastline to the rolling grasslands of the English countryside into one of the most famous homes in the world. And in 2017, he partnered with the 8th Earl and Countess of Carnarvon, the owners of Highclere Castle, known as the Real Downtown Abbey, creating the Highclere Castle Cigar Company and Highclere Castle Spirits, where he launched an award-winning cigar and the world's most awarded gin. He's an advisor to the Queen's Commonwealth Trust and a founding trustee of the Royal Ethiopian Trust, advisors to His Imperial Highness Prince Ermias Selassie. Adam is committed to bringing ultra luxury global products born of distinctly authentic brands rooted in the uniqueness of their terroir and provenance. In a central celebration of history, authenticity, and irreplaceable pedigree, he is committed to sustaining agricultural and manufacturing processes. And what I really loved, I didn't love the introduction as much as I was saying I love everything he's doing, but he's a man that has accomplished a lot of numerous things. He's been a keynote speaker for Dale Carnegie's 110th International Convention, been featured on Bloomberg, Forbes, Fortune, NBC, ABC, and I really loved his TED Talk. It's extremely impactful. One of the things that I took from it is he said that we are who we are because of the people that came before us. So, Adam, excited to have you on the show. Are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, I was really impressed with that read because I didn't realize how much of a mouthful my bio actually was until you just read it out loud. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. For the next time you come on the show, I'm going to say it 3 times fast. So that's going to be something that everybody's going to want to tune in for.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you as well, too. So I guess to kick everything off, I know obviously I touched on it a little bit. I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started with all the awesome work you're doing, what I call your CEO story.
Yeah, sure. Well, college wasn't really for me. So I only lasted about a semester. And then I went on to start a series of my first businesses that were outside of the spirits business, of course, where where my expertise falls now. But through that process, keep in mind I'm 40 now, so that was 22 years ago. My family was very disappointed. In fact, the first chapter of my book is called McDonald's, Military, or College, and that was the advice that my guidance counselor gave me were my 3 options in life. And this is kind of 22 years ago, was before the time that I think society really kind of got behind becoming an entrepreneur. And it really is not for everybody. And it's not a journey that I would recommend for everybody because it can be very, very stressful and it can be very, very daunting and very, very difficult. But I think daunting and difficult and challenging are the very features that build our character and make us who we are. If you have an easy path through life, you may not be living to your full potential, nor be as fascinating as your capacity within you it could be. And so kind of leaving college early and having to figure out my own way was really the kind of beginnings of I think who I've become as a man and as an entrepreneur, certainly as a father. And it wasn't really until I was about in my mid-20s that I found a real passion and a love for distilled spirits and everything about them, from the farming side to the branding and marketing side of things, distribution, and really just brand building. And it's a really beautiful art form in a way, not unlike fashion, the fashion industry, or even like being a chef. You're really working with these raw base ingredients. You're working with farmers or your own land. and all we end up seeing is kind of being at that sexy nightclub or restaurant with the beautiful bottle on the shelf. But the people that are behind that, and all the effort and money and resource and know-how that it takes to bring that to life, deeply inspired me, and from there on forward, I was hooked.
Nice. I absolutely love that. I love that you talked about that art form piece and kind of seeing like you appreciated all aspects, of that journey and what that looks like. Because I think, as you said so many times, and I feel like this happens so many times in business and in life, we see the person running across the finish line, or we see that at that nightclub, that drink. We don't see all the journey of that, but it sounds like that love and that passion that you have for that has kind of fueled everything you've been able to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. All the luck comes at the last 1% of your journey, where everybody looks at it and say, "Wow, how lucky." I think you hit on something special. I mean, it really is. This is almost a Zen like principle for me sometimes, where it really isn't about just the final result. It is about the journey.
Mm,
It's about, for example, the quality and pride around the product you offer customers. It's about the team that you build and how you inspire them. It's about return. Certainly, it's about making money for your shareholders or investors, and
mm.
achieving the end goal. But if you're living in the moment and you're really appreciating life for what it is, it's about the journey. And one of the things I enjoyed that you said about entrepreneurship, and it's a kind of a way I look at it. Entrepreneurs are very much the software coders of our reality. So if you
Mm.
think about it, the chair I'm sitting on, the laptop I'm speaking to you on, the gin in my case that you might be drinking, all of these things, 100% of them were created by entrepreneurs. So we're kind of the coders of the matrix around us. And I think that's a unique way to look at it, because you realize the impact you can kind of have in the world sometimes just by a little thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to bring back something that you said that I think also helps to support that as well too, because I think once you start to realize and you see the matrix, you see all the things that are created, like somebody had an idea and that came to fruition, but it didn't just happen like that. As you talked about, like the saying is there's no pressure, there's no diamonds. So when you go through a lot of those challenges, I think especially the entrepreneurial people, you can sometimes feel as if, hey, I'm doing it wrong, but or maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm not cut out for this, or all those things, but that actually can be the, I guess, the seed of an opportunity that could be planted if you're able to kind of learn from that and take from that. And then, as you said so well, you get to see those innovations and ideas come to fruition.
Absolutely. I think we learn far more from our mistakes and failures than we do from our wins. And I think the key challenge is being wise enough to know what to take from them, so you don't
Mhm.
repeat them, or so that you turn it into something that's quite positive for yourself as a leader or CEO, or for your company. No one ever expects us to be perfect. And I think we shouldn't expect ourselves to be perfect. But as long as we're wise enough to learn from the mistakes and then apply what we've learned at the very soonest moment, that then we cannot be classified as insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Not yet, at least. So there, there we go. But
Right.
sometimes insane is what makes it all exciting, because who can think of some of the things and innovations that we have right before us? Many people were considered insane for even thinking that something like this would even
Exactly.
be able to happen.
True.
So, I wanted to drill down a little bit more, hear about all the awesome things that you're working on and impact that you have. Could you take us through exactly like how you're making an impact in the world and in the universe?
Yeah, well, my primary business is Highclere Castle Gin. So in this business, I had built a distillery, as you mentioned earlier, here in Connecticut, and that's where I really kind of learned the ropes of the industry. We were using some of our own corn farmland and spring water to make this moonshine, which was kind of a celebration of the spirit of New England that my ancestors made a long, long time ago, and other people did as well. And it was kind of it was where I learned the art of distribution, and it's where we kind of sophisticated up, I think, our understanding of finance, and marketing and branding and all those kind of things. And at some point, I really realized that I felt we as a team, and I felt I as a CEO and entrepreneur was prepared to take a brand global. And so I started kind of looking at where does a brand live that is deeply authentic, which is very, very important to me, has an element of craft to it, is still in that kind of sphere of luxury, that I felt had a story that was not being quite told in a particular way. And that's what led me to Highclere Castle. I'm of British heritage. To be honest with you, I was selfishly looking for an excuse to spend more time in England. And so I was looking across the pond and I was pondering maybe this is where my next brand and business should be rooted. And I learned about Highclere Castle through the same way that about 300 million other people did, through a TV series called Downton Abbey, which
Mhm.
is now the single most watched TV series of all time.
Wow.
And I was enchanted by it. And when I learned that it was a real place called Highclere Castle, I reached out to the castle as a cold email. And the next day the phone rang, and it was the Earl of Carnarvon, godson to Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth. And
Mhm.
I did not expect that to happen. And we had a wonderful conversation. And a few weeks later, I was on my way over to the castle to stay for the weekend at the invitation of Lord and Lady Carnarvon, and which was also not expected. And from that was born a great friendship. And I think we quickly found a shared vision in that I wanted to bring the spirit of Highclere Castle to life, no pun intended, but
Mhm.
by celebrating the botanicals that grew around the estate, and by celebrating Highclere's legacy for entertainment and hospitality, because they've been hosting kings and queens and royalty and celebrities and statesmen and poets and all the most fascinating people of the world for 400 years at Highclere. And they still do today. And every evening starts with gin cocktails. So I wanted
Mhm.
to kind of celebrate that little tiny corner of what Highclere Castle represents in a fun and a sexy way that people could kind of celebrate the earth of Highclere all around the world, to kind of take part in the celebration that is Highclere Castle. And thus was born Highclere Castle Gin, and we're now the most awarded gin in the world in just a few short years. So we're very proud of the work we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so exciting to kind of hear that, especially here. I think again, we talked a little bit around like having the drink or whatever it is, or the bottle or whatever it is, and not realizing all of those aspects, which is why I love entrepreneurship, because you get to bring those things to fruition, and they seem like they're disparate parts, but they all are interconnected into the story, the brand, the experience. It sounds like you're giving people, and they're able to kind of enjoy a glass or a cup or whatever it might be.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody could possibly comprehend the amount of work and capital and resource and time that it takes to bring a spirit brand to life, because it is a and very intense. Just distilling alone is a very intense process. It's an
Mhm.
art form. It's a science. It's all those things at once, and then of course, all the rest of the boring stuff behind the scenes. For example, international distribution. We're in 7 countries now in 27 U.S. states.
Mhm.
The logistics behind this is absolutely immense. But it's very fulfilling, very worth it that we can share this product with people, who can taste it and say, "My God, I don't like gin, and you've turned me over. This is incredible." Or, "My
Mhm.
favorite gin has been X brand for 40 years," and they taste ours and they say, "This is the best." I mean, it's those joys, it's those memories, it's those smiles, and as well for them to take part of this kind of deeply historic, kind of aristocratic British brand that's so iconically known, and to be able to kind of sip the terroir, sip the earth of the actual plants growing around it, and enjoy all that, and kind of envision their own kind of butler whipping up a cocktail in their living room and serving it to them. It's quite fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why that word experience really stuck with me, because it seems like you're creating that experience not just because of, well, I think largely because of like all the steps of the journey and the things that you considered and how you blended those together very alchemically, if that's even a word, into everything you've been able to create. I feel like that creates that experience because when you start to delve down a little bit deeper, you start to realize this is more than just a drink. This is like that experience, as I talked about.
I love that you. First of all, I love the word that you made up, and I think it
There
is.
you go.
I think it deserves to be in the lexicon of things. But I think you hit something really crucial on the head. I think the key word for any brand that intends to be here in 100 years is experience. I ask my friends all the time, people that I know. I'll ask yourself: Do you know the history of or the story of Tanqueray?
I don't.
Neither do I. I mean, this is the market leader of gin around the world. So my
Mhm.
intention is to build spirit brands that have deep connection to who we are, that have a
Mhm.
story to tell, that have a reason to be, and that have the ability to offer someone an experience. And I'll tell you a couple of ways how we do that. On one hand, there's about 130,000 visitors to Highclere Castle every year on
Mhm.
days that the home is open to the public. So you can wander the grounds, you can tour the inside, you can see the beautiful Van Dyck paintings and the 400 years of the Herbert family, the Earls of Carnarvon, acting as stewards of the house, and all the important moments in history that have happened there, including the founding of Canada, in the library, or Napoleon's desk in the other music room, just all these kind of moments of history that come together. So that's an experience. But even more so, there's many ways that we've deployed the brand to give people experience. So about a week or two after, about a couple months after we launched the brand, the COVID lockdown hit and shut down all of our restaurants, all of our
Mm-hmm.
customers, all of our distributors. That's a brand new brand. I've been working for 2 years to develop this company, to raise the capital of our Series A round, to put the management team in place, develop the product, all the investment we made. And within a night, everything that is our world was shut down. So we
Mm-hmm.
scrambled, thought to ourselves, what can we do to connect with our end customers right away? And so we created a virtual cocktail party at Highclere Castle, hosted by Lord and Lady Carnarvon, simply sitting on a couch with the amazing head butler Lewis, whipping them up some martinis as they spoke to people across all internet platforms, all social media platforms, around the room they were sitting in and their favorite way to enjoy it, this cocktail and the gin. We had 50,000 people tune in for that. And what
Mm-hmm.
really struck me in a very deep way is seeing people posting pictures of themselves, scared, mind you, COVID, the pandemic, everything. And I
Right.
saw people in their condos, in their apartments, in their living rooms. He's in a tuxedo, she's in a gown, their little beautiful children between them, tuned in for this cocktail party in the middle of the world shutting down. And as scary as it was, we used the brand to give them an experience of joy and
Mm-hmm.
laughter and memory. And I think that is when you can connect with a customer in that deep emotional way, on a almost metaphysical level, you'll have a fan for life.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And it's so funny you said that because I almost I picked up, at least this is what I see. I don't know if you feel the same way, that this is part of your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you or the brand apart and makes you unique. You seem to have an ability to be able to see the forest for the trees and not lose sight of that human part. And I think when you talked about the joy, the excitement, all those feelings that we sometimes forget that as products or services or things that we have or create or do, that we are actually creating that human experience, and we have the opportunity to be able to create joy, happiness, whatever it is. You have that ability to do that. Do you feel like your ability to have that awareness and pulse on that is part of what sets you apart and makes you unique?
I hope it is. I mean, I'm deeply disappointed in the activities that a lot of market leaders in the United States do. Because if we really cared about the customer and their experience, we wouldn't put 138 items in what it takes to make their food or a bag of chips. We
Mm,
wouldn't poison our own people for the sake of a dollar. And there's many other practices that have gone on in many across many different industries that are very, very disappointing to me. I think that we as leaders in business have an obligation for responsible entrepreneurship. And the moment we stop chasing that extra dollar and we start getting back to what business should be, which is providing a service or product to customers with the responsibility that goes with that, we'll be a better country. We'll have healthier, happier customers. And I think the brand will last longer. And many great CEOs that I've gotten to know are absolutely subscribing to that philosophy now. Sadly, it's a relatively new philosophy, which is preposterous. But I think companies are unfortunately, they're being forced to go that way, which is all this and that. But now they've got ways to trick you on labeling for all natural and organic and stuff. So it's getting harder and harder to trust. Just like with politics, it's getting harder and harder to trust. And so people more than ever are getting their truth from other places like the internet, which is equally hard to trust. So I think we've got a
mm.
society culture problem right now where there's a deep lack of trust. And, we are capitalists. So I think we as capitalists, as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, we can set the tone and we can take a little bit of that hit. We can forge that new path and say, no, I'm determined to be authentic with what I'm promising my customers. And if that fundamentally means that my margins go down from 72% to 64% because I'm not going to produce the glass for my gin in China. We're making it in England because we say it's made in England. Then I'm going to take that margin hit. And customers over time will understand that when we say something, we're not kidding around.
Yeah, and that's so powerful to be able to say that, and I think it's I'm excited to obviously hear that's such a foundational part of what you do. I think it's sad at the same time that sometimes to really break through the noise, being authentic, building trust, doing what you say is actually something that is not happening as much as it should be. And I appreciate you for, of course, like leading that and making that charge, because I think it's so important as brands to be able to not just last for today, but last for the next 100 years. And then, and the way to do that is to build trust, is to be authentic, is to stay true to the foundational principles, and of course, be able to provide that solution to the people that you want to serve as much as possible.
100%. And customers will understand that, it's an
Mhm.
emotional thing for them at that point. Again, back to the experience of the brand. What is a brand? Even if you think about it, it comes from the old word, using a branding iron on your livestock, right? So
Mhm.
so we put a big G on one of your cattle's, it's coming from your farm. But what it really represents is it's the farmer's promise. So I've
Mm.
taken care of my livestock. The quality of this meat will be excellent. The animal was healthy when we brought it to the butchers. You can count on my branding for this being a true statement, and that's gotten rather warped as well, especially in terms of corporate. So I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
My wife and I are on our third child, so we have a 1-year-old at home. With all three of them, once it was time for mom to stop, breastfeeding and go on to the formula, we
Mhm.
couldn't find a formula in America that was made in America that didn't have things like high fructose corn syrup and chemicals in it. We
Mhm.
couldn't find it. In fact, she went
Wow.
on many mothers groups on forums trying to find a simple, safe, and healthy children's formula. We ended up having to pay for like 4x the price to buy it from Germany, where they don't allow all that
Wow.
stuff. So again, brand, promise, commitment. We're talking about baby food,
Right.
not even gin, liquor. We're talking about baby
Right.
food. So I think I think we're a little bit sick with that chase for that dollar, and I think we're going to lose dollars in the end because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where, I think us in society are craving so much that authenticity, those brands that do make that promise, stick with that promise and stay true to that promise. And I think I truly appreciate that in so many different industries. I think people are craving that and want that so much. So I truly appreciate you for blazing that trail. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or even a habit that you have. But what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Running a couple businesses with three children at home, I have to tell you, I have no hacks right now. I'm exhausted. Deeply so, and I'm not even kidding around. But I will say this. I think for me, I'm very committed to my faith as a Roman Catholic. I
Mhm.
find that prayer and meditation and a good old fashioned run, a few
Mhm.
miles of a run, those things together can take care of just about anything. I'm also, I take deep um, uh, investment in pride over the people that I keep around me,
Mhm.
other entrepreneurs and CEOs specifically, and some mentors who I spend quality time with, who help me think through challenges in a different way and a different perspective. And I think for me at this stage of my life where I'm at right now, having some people with wisdom that I can really rely on, you're staying true to prayer and meditation, even if it's for 2 minutes, and going for a nice run around the neighborhood. That's normally enough to get my head right and kind of get me where I need to see clearly and think clearly.
Yeah, I appreciate those, and to me, like a common thread amongst all those is like so many times when we're going through or trying to tackle a problem, or we're dealing with maybe a valley that we're going through in business, is we can feel like we can work, 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 and to continue to kind of drive to try to find that. But I love each of those hacks because a lot of those, or all of those, I see it as getting away, and whether it be the prayer, the meditation, the run, or even speaking with mentors or other people that might have another perspective, all of that helps us to, I think, realign, but also helps us to, at the end of the day, be able to potentially find that solution.
You make me, as you speak, you make me think of one thing that I would say is probably the magic fix, the ultimate
Hmm.
magic fix for me.
Hmm.
When some months have I travel frequently enough for work, but sometimes
Hmm.
because of the nature of things, I may go many weeks without traveling. And I do find that getting on a plane and going somewhere, for me, that's often the UK or markets around the US, or Nicaragua, where our cigars are made, and I have many friends. Specifically, as more exotic, the better. If I'm there for even a few days, my entire perspective change. Big things at home become small things in my mind, and the solutions present themselves. And I'll also mention that I find myself, and I'm sure many people can say the same thing. Every time I fly away, I meet exactly the person I'm supposed to meet at the bar or sitting next to me on that airplane, and whole new partnerships, investors, distributors, or just great friends have been met just by kind of hoisting the flag and saying, "Okay, I'm off. I've got to get the hell out of here right away," and everything presents itself. The solution presents itself. In fact, when I'm out of the office traveling, half the problems that we're facing here, little fires we're facing here in the office, fix themselves just because I'm not here staring at it. So it's kind of like what's the cat, what's that, when you look at the cat, if you look at the cat, the cat's there. If you don't look at it, it's not there, something like that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
I
yeah.
forget that kind of the physics kind of thing, but it's Schrodinger's cat. It's kind of like that idea. You're
Ah,
not sitting here staring at your problems. They kind of somehow are allowed to fix themselves in a kind of organic way. So that would be
yeah.
my hack.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing that, and I think that yeah, again, that's right in alignment. And it's so funny because there's a quote, and I actually have it up here somewhere that what you're seeking is actually seeking you. I think I probably butchered it, but so many times when we're looking for the answer to our problem, the solution, or whatever it is, a lot of times it's seeking you. So that really resonated with me because, as you said, if you go to and get out of the environment that we're in, a lot of times those solutions or whatever we might need might just happen, or it ends up happening because we get out of it, not because we're continuing to kind of drive and try to fix it.
Absolutely. I mean, my job as a CEO fundamentally is to get things done. And sometimes I can get a
Mm,
lot more done when I'm not sitting here in this very office on my laptop talking to you. But if I just head out to another state or another country, I'll get all sorts of things done.
yeah, absolutely. So the key is to travel more CEOs, and then that'll make everything better. So there you go.
I don't know about that, but it does help.
Yeah, something like that. So what would you consider to be what I call a little bit more of a CEO nugget? So that could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something if you were to hop into a time machine this time, you might tell your younger business self.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think that goes back to really, fundamentally around the team. The team that
Mm,
you keep around you, the management team, and such. People say the customer's always right, or customer comes first, and I really do think it's the team and the employees that come first, because they represent you, they represent the brand, and if you instill in them the importance of customer, then you're going to deliver the customer ultimately what you want. My nugget, the lessons I've learned over time, that I'm still will admit I'm not always great at, is firing faster
mm,
and hiring, scalably bigger quicker, or
mm.
hiring that the kind of senior veteran when that time needs to come. It would definitely be around that kind of family of managing the team and knowing when to fire, knowing when to hire at the point that you need to solve that next evolution of the business. Matter of fact, we're going through a
Yeah.
big evolution, right now, that's going to be very important. The moves and decisions that I make in the next, coming months.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I wonder, do you have like a certain criteria or formula or something that you go into that? Because I feel like that's such a challenge for everybody to know, when you don't have the right person and or even know when you need to hire the person for the next potential, I don't want to say problem, but whatever expansion or goal you wanna achieve. Like a lot of times you want to make sure that we have the expertise, the knowledge, and sometimes just the quote unquote manpower in place to be able to make that happen. But so do you have a way that you kind of evaluate that?
I mean, I wish I could say that there was a tried and true, a replicable, standard, but the challenge is, especially when you're a mid-size or smaller company, is that each situation is so vastly unique with its
Mm,
own kind of series of requirements and challenges and personality types and all the rest of it. I do think, though, that you can root it down to culture for sure. Like, does the person fit in with the culture of the company, with the
mm,
style of the company? And I think fairly soon you can sense that, you might be looking to add a personality type, or you might be looking to add a particular skill set. But I think the important thing is that it fits in line with the culture of the company. So, for example, today we've spoken a lot about, I think, the my commitment to authenticity and
Mhm.
to what we're trying to build for the long term. So, if I'm hiring somebody who I can tell is highly transactional and will never comprehend that, then they will not be a fit. And so I can already save myself and the team a lot of hassle by saying this is a highly transactional person who will not buy into a bigger vision. They want to get this done short term, immediate results, immediate gratification, chasing money in some senses, and just that. Then I know they won't fit with us. Just a very very kind of random example, but so there you go. I mean, it's about being very clear about who you are, very clear about what the company is and the kind of people that you want to work with. And if you do it right, and I've been fairly lucky, not always, I have had problems, then you end up creating a wonderful sense of purpose where everyone moves as a legion, everyone is moving as one, highly aligned. And if you have to make pivots, they're making pivots as one, and there's a logic and a rationale why everyone can be on the same page. It also comes down to communication. Is everybody an effective communicator? Because you get one or two that are not, that will throw the whole thing, throw the whole thing off. You no longer is moving as one, and you've got these kind of challenges. So, a couple nuggets that I think have helped me.
Yeah, extremely powerful. I appreciate you. And as you were kind of explaining that, I was thinking about what we were talking about with the brand. And I almost think that culture could potentially be the brand for your organization. And when you start to make that promise or you start to have that leaders, you want to make sure that the people that are in place or even people you're considering bringing in certain places fit that culture, fit that brand, or in alignment with all those things, because you want to make sure at the very least you have somebody that is on the same page and seeing and wanting to see that goal, that mission, that vision, whatever it is, come to fruition.
Yeah, and in our case, it's even more kind of challenging sometimes because we are a British brand,
Mhm.
distinctly a British brand in every way. But my headquarters are here in the States, where my main management team is. We
Mm.
have offices at the castle as well, but main base camp is here in the States. And so that can be a little bit unique sometimes because those are as similar as we are culturally. We're just as equally quite different. Now, I understand
Mhm.
that because I've spent my life going to England, but sometimes my team doesn't quite understand that tone or that kind of energy around that. So it takes an interesting kind of perspective. The other piece of it as well to make it even double difficult is we are not figuratively, but we are literally a very noble brand. And so
Mhm.
having a tone that kind of coincides with being both um, both very kind of elegant and authentic, but also understated. So not pompous and
Mhm.
not in your face.
Right.
These are all nuances of our brand that take some people a little bit of time to understand. How do I have the voice of Highclere Castle Gin? What does that look and feel like? How is that expressed? And then also, of course, getting your sales reps to understand that, and out to
Right.
distributors and out to liquor stores and restaurants and bartenders. It takes very careful and concise communication. So that's the other big piece.
Yeah, I appreciate you breaking that down and how like nuanced that is, but also how impactful that is in so many different aspects within the organization. Because I think, especially as the CEO, entrepreneur, business owner, leaders, whoever it is that might be taking this in, it's so important to kind of understand those nuances because it has to be communicated because that will be that promise that the salesperson or the customer service rep or the distributor, whoever it is, you want to make sure that you are communicating that so that it is evoked and seen in every single aspect of what you're doing as a brand.
Exactly. Yeah, that's quite right.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, what would be your answer to my absolute favorite question, the definition of what it means to be a CEO? And our goal is to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So, Adam, what does being a CEO mean to you?
It means to dream the strategy, guide the tactics, and inspire the team and the customers.
Mhm. I love that. Dream, guide, and inspire. They're so powerful words that I think so many times as we talked about, like some of these innovations, these things, they didn't exist before, but it takes somebody able to dream, able to actually guide that to come to fruition and inspire those that are around you. And what I hear in that is like each stage of the journey and how you have to continue to have that journey. Even as you talked about the nuances within your brand, making sure people understand each of those aspects and why is part of like why, you end up inspiring and being that leader and that CEO.
Hope so.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think you're doing it phenomenally well. So, Adam, truly appreciate that definition. Of course, appreciate your time even more. So, what I wanted to do now is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional that you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best people get a hold of you, find about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Well, I think this was an excellent interview, and you asked some fantastic questions that were thought provoking, and even had to kind of think from them. So I enjoy it when certainly the interviewer is well versed in this, which obviously you are. I would say that we if you're into spirits, give our Highclere Castle gin a try. If you're into cigars, try the Highclere Castle cigar. It's one of the top 25 ranked cigars by Cigar Aficionado, and our gin is now the most awarded super premium gin in the world. Anybody can visit us by going to highclerecastlegin.com, get a bottle delivered to your house, or get some cocktail recipes and learn about some of our history and heritage. And yeah, I hope to see you at somewhere cool to enjoy a cocktail with you soon.
There you go. Absolutely. And to make it even easier, obviously we're going to have the links and information in the show notes as well too, so that everybody can get a glass, a bottle, or just to connect as well too. But I truly appreciate you obviously taking time out today. I think so many times we don't think of the things that we do as experiences and the opportunity to be able to not just create a product or service, but actually to change lives. And a lot of times represent things that are important to us as well too. So thank you so much for doing that. And of course, blazing that trail as well. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
You're amazing. You too. Thanks for having me on.